Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 38 in Be With Me in the book of Hebrews. We're in chapter 11 today in the Hall of Fame of Faith, and today's title is A Chance for Faith. Two requirements are going to be necessary for a chance to faith. We're going to look mostly at Abraham. So remember, chapter 11 is all about faith. Now, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, says verse 1, the conviction of things not seen. So what is that? Faith is the trust in the person of God before the promises of God are evident. And it's trust in God's character before the clarity of circumstances manifest themselves. So it's knowing about God before seeing, before having a revelation yet. So faith is believing something is real before it's seen. It's belief in the reality before it becomes a reality. And it's reliance on God himself before the revelation becomes clear. All right, so we've been walking through various examples of that. And today it's going to be Father Abraham. Here it is, verse 8. This is 11:8, Hebrews 11:8. By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place that he was to receive as an inheritance. And he went out not knowing where he was going. That's the part that caught me today, is he went out not knowing where he was going. And that actually, as it turns out, is going to be one of our requirements for faith. So the two things that faith requires is it requires not knowing where we're going, and it requires knowing in whom we're trusting in the meantime. So Abraham is a good example of this. So he physically actually goes out not knowing where he was going. So he didn't know how the promise exactly was going to turn out, or even the physical destination of where he was going. So he did know the promiser along the way. That is God himself. So before I see the end result of the journey, I'm going to go all in on you, Lord. This is what Abraham said. He said, I'm relying on the Lord before I see how this all shakes out. So here's the big point today is, aren't we all little Abrahams and little Sarahs? Don't you, for example, do you know the challenges of even where you're going today? Do you know the temptations that are going to be endured? Do you know the situations of anger that will need to be quieted? Do you know the situations where lusts will need to be turned away from? Or how about, do you know the harsh word that is coming that will best be answered by a gentle response? Or the service that will leave you tired and exhausted and at your limit today? And I'm just speaking of today. That is before the sun goes down, much like a larger journey. So like Abraham, we too don't know where we are going even today in some very critical ways. And here's our Abrahamic level question is, will I trust the person of God before I see how each of those situations will resolve? Will I have faith in him before and during the uncertain moments of today, much less all the tomorrows piled on top of that? So in general, I bristle at the term a person of faith, as if or even like a reference to a school, or that's a faith-based school, as if the faith was of ultimate importance. Now, I'm not saying it's not important. It is important, but the object of the faith is a primary person. It's faith in the Lord. It's faith in the person, capital P, the person we have faith in. So that's just one small thing, is the challenges of today. What about a bigger journey of faith? Let's say there's a massive journey ahead, like that of Abraham's, where you don't know where you are going. So let's say you have a cancer diagnosis. Oh, by the way, welcome to the doctor's office. You have cancer. Or you're facing a great loss, or you're stepping into the aging process, or you're committing yourself to a marriage and a relationship, or you're having a baby. All of these will, like Abraham, test you to your absolute limit. So Abraham did not know how his challenges were going to work out. The promises of building a stars in the sky sized nation out of himself or maybe going and rescuing Lot with this 318 men from a conquering army that had just conquered 4 kingdoms. And frankly, Abraham doesn't do this perfectly, and neither did Paul in the Bible, and neither do you, and neither will I. So we all, like Abraham, have an opportunity, a chance for faith. And our chance for faith will be like his. That is, at the moment and the moments when we do not know where we are going. So if we knew how it was all going to turn out, it wouldn't be faith, right? So our chance for faith will be the same as Abraham's. It will be in a situation where we don't know where we're going or how we're going or why it's happening to us. There's going to be some unknown. And our faith is knowing who we have faith in the meantime. So faith is the relying on the who when we don't know the wheres or the hows or the whys. So before we know where, and before we know how, and before we know why, it's knowing the who. So faith requires not knowing something, and faith requires knowing something. So the not knowing something is the circumstances. Where are we going? Verse 7 says, by faith, verse 8, by faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place that he was to receive as an inheritance. And he went out not knowing where he was going. So faith requires a not knowing where you're going or how you're going to get there or why this is happening to you. So this unknown situation. And then the second thing that faith requires is knowing in whom you are trusting in the meantime. So today, I pray for 2 things. Number 1, situations that require your faith. And number 2, the faith in the person to help you through those. So may you know him today. May you know in whom you have faith in. May you have a chance for faith today.